Hang on.
Welcome, everyone. We're just going to give folks a minute to gather, to get your recordings going and get the live stream going. So if you do need to record, this is a good time to request that recording. And we are going to get our live stream going as well, which is just going to take a minute. My name is Kaya. Chat. Wonderful. It sounds like a lot of our recordings have started now for folks that need it. Um, is there anything else that we are waiting for? Is there any?
Nope. Why don't we go ahead to Kay?
All right, great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We are gathered here today across cities around the US. My name is Kaya Chatterjee. I'm the executive director of Free DC here in Washington, DC. And as we gather, we are very aware that a few hours ago, Trump addressed US military leaders that he had summoned from all around the world. And in that address, he made threats specifically against American cities. These are threats that he's making against his own people. And this regime of bullies and billionaires are right now trying to turn our own government into a weapon against the American people. They are coming after our First Amendment rights. They are violating our Fourth Amendment rights. And what this regime seems not to understand is that every single time they attack our communities, we only grow stronger. And that's very true here in DC. In all eight wards, in our soccer stadiums, in our church pews, people in the nation's capital are coming together to demand a free DC. DC communities are responding to every attack on our rights, whether it comes from the 16 bills in Congress attacking DC and our autonomy, or more than 20 budget riders that do the same, whether it comes from the president sending the US military against us or anything else, we are coming together. And I just want to say shame on this president. Shame on this president for unleashing the National Guard and these surge federal forces to harm the people of DC and all of our communities. Shame on the governors of West Virginia, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Ohio for sending their National Guard members on a fool's errand for this president. Shame on every member of Congress who has voted to turn DC's laws that were passed by our duly elected leadership, and that includes some Democrats that are voting to overturn our laws. Shame on them. How dare they think that they know better than us whether our 14-year-olds should be treated as adults in the criminal justice system, or whether gangs of sometimes unidentified federal forces should be allowed to engage in high-speed chases through our communities. DC is not a training ground for the US military. None of our communities are. Our rights are not a bargaining chip in federal budget negotiations. The people of DC are powerful. The people of DC are joyful. The people of DC are people who refuse to allow this administration to treat us with anything less than full dignity. DC will not be silenced. This regime wants us, the people of this country, to be scared and divided. And instead, what we're doing today is we're coming together to stand together across cities. This regime told the press that they wanted to keep troops deployed here in Washington, D.C. until the end of 2026. Why the end of 2026? It's because just like they did on January 6th, they want to attempt to prevent a transfer of power. This is not just an attack on DC or attack on all our cities. It's an attack on American democracy. And just like January 6th was an attack on American democracy. And we have an opportunity right now to stop this attack on our democracy well before another violent mob descends on the Capitol. One step that we could do, we know it wouldn't be sufficient because we have all these other cities here with us, but one step that would be important to protect American democracy would be giving DC elected leaders control over our own National Guard. Congress has bills in front of them. It has the power to do that today through HR 5093 and Senate Bill 2688. Here in DC, we know how to win against tyrants. We know how to use our power as jurors. We know how to use our power as consumers, our power as workers. And we're building that power so they can't bully us, so they can't take away our freedoms, and so they can't endanger our lives. But we're not alone in building this power. We're doing it all across the country. We stand in solidarity with every American city being occupied and threatened right now. Today, it's 5 cities here with us, but tomorrow it's going to be 50 cities if leaders across sectors and across this country do not stand up to these bullies. We are grateful, truly, to the military leaders today for not rallying to the war cries of this regime. We need the governors of Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Ohio, and West Virginia to follow the lead of South Carolina and end their state's expensive deployment to DC. We need all local governments to use their pension funds, their contracts, and every tool at their disposal to cut off the grift of the billionaires that are aligned with this regime. We need universities to use their endowments as a lever to restore their own critical research and their rights under the law. We need everyone in this country in order to defend our home and the capital of this country from attacks. They are desperate for power, and we cannot give it to them. We have to withhold our cooperation and we have to stand together. And that's why I'm so, so proud today to stand together with sisters from Chicago, Portland, Memphis, and LA, united and strong in our defiance. Our first speaker is going to be Stacey David Gates, the president of the amazing Chicago Teachers Union. Stacey.
Thank you so much for having me today. Look, the only war we need waged in the city of Chicago is on poverty. The federal government has a role, and the role is severely misplaced in this moment. We need the federal government to fully fund our public schools in this city so our special education students can get what they need. We need our federal government to roll back the cuts to SNAP so families have food. We need the cuts to Medicaid to be rescinded so people have the ability to have health care. And in fact, in this moment, we need an imagination that is bigger than just recouping what we've lost. We need an imagination built on the solidarity of working people, poor people, people who are engaged in this project of democracy. We need a coalition of people to continue to resist and to say no, because in Chicago, our union, allied with the community, is doing just that. We are making sure that our families know that we are doing our level best as educators to both contextualize this moment for our students and also provide a safe haven for our students. The Trump administration has withheld millions of dollars from our district because we dare to give Black students a success plan to repair the harms of the past, because we dare to keep queer and trans students safe in our school communities. Our role as educators, as residents of this city, this county, this state, this country, is to not just reaffirm our commitment to this democracy, but to participate in the project of securing it through making sure that we teach truth in our classrooms, that we force our city and our school district to rebuild libraries so young people have the ability to discern fact from fiction and to do that work. But in this moment, that goes beyond that, because we also have to keep children safe in their own neighborhoods and their own school communities. And we do that with the community. The impact is heavy. We have students asking their teachers, how do they identify themselves as American? Is it their birth certificate because they don't have driver's license? We're in a moment, and this moment is going to require more. It's going to require more from our leadership. Tax the billionaires who are giving cuts from other billionaires that are in the cabinet right now. We need to secure it, especially in blue cities and blue counties and blue states, donor cities, donor counties, donor states. We don't have to fund our oppression. We can fund the expansion of opportunity through giving more to secure our public good. We need leaders in this moment, all of our elected officials, to think about what their duty is to this project, but even more so, we need a united coalition of people from city to city, cities run by Black mayors, to have the ability to coordinate, to show our work, to show that democracy is won by the people, sustained by the people, informed by the people. And we get to show a different example than that of which we are being shown now in the tyranny of occupying our own American streets with our own citizens and our own funds. We get to show that there is a different way, and we get to show that different way through our coalition and through our organizing and through our love for the people. Thank you for having me here. Next, I want to bring up Ms. Sandy Chung of the ACLU of Oregon.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Hello, everyone. I'm Sandy Chung, she, her pronouns. I'm the Executive Director of the ACLU of Oregon. The ACLU of Oregon's mission is to defend and advance our democracy, civil liberties, and civil rights here in Oregon. We have more than 48,000 members and donor supporters across our state. I want to thank all of the organizations and cities who are standing here in solidarity with Portland today, including Free DC, who organized this event. I also want to thank our sister organization, the ACLU of Washington, D.C., who has been our valuable partner in doing the work of keeping federal troops out of towns and cities in Portland and Oregon and across the country. I'm proud to be an Oregonian. I grew up in Oregon, and I am lucky to raise my family here. For those of you who have not visited Portland or Oregon, please visit us. Portland has deep green forests and wide blue rivers in the heart of our city. The ocean is only 2 hours to the west of the city, and the mountains are an hour east. And we have brew pubs and wineries everywhere. This fall has been especially beautiful in our city, in Portland. And Portlanders have been enjoying bike rides, farmers markets, pumpkin patches, music festivals, and boat rides on the river. Next weekend, we're going to have thousands of people who will be running the Portland Marathon that goes through the heart of our city, and I'll be joining them. We know that President Trump's deployment of the military is about political theater, not community safety or community care. He wants to divert people's attention away from a federal budget bill that gives tax cuts to billionaires while devastating communities across our country with deep cuts to essential services like healthcare and education, while at the same time sending ICE billions upon billions more dollars so that ICE can carry out President Trump's cruel, chaotic, and unfair mass deportations. There are Portlanders who have been protesting at the ICE office here in Portland because they're deeply concerned about the unfair, chaotic, and inhumane actions by ICE. These protests have been overwhelmingly peaceful. In Oregon, ICE has detained beloved family members, valued coworkers, respected business owners. They have detained so many of our neighbors who we care deeply about, and imprisoned them in ICE prisons. ICE even detained an Oregonian who was working as a firefighter to put out a wildfire. They detained him as he was putting out this fire. This is why protesters are outside the ICE building, engaged in peaceful protest. A couple of days ago, after speaking to our Governor Kotek, President Trump questioned whether what he was seeing on TV was different than what was actually going on in Portland. I am very concerned that whether President Trump's staff or certain news sources are not presenting him with full and accurate information about Portland. These images that President Trump may be seeing in Portland, they may or may not be from this year. They may be from years past, and also are likely not showing the full context. They're not showing the community volunteers who are showing up at our ICE office to provide Know Your Rights information to the immigrants and refugees with appointments there. They are not showing the clergy who are showing up to pray for justice and peace. And oftentimes, these images are also not showing federal officers using physical violence, pepper spray, and tear gas against protesters for no apparent reason. Even Portland police officers have stated on the record that they have seen federal agents at the ICE building attack protesters without justification. President Trump, Oregonians have a direct message for you. Do not send military troops to Oregon or to any other city or town across the United States. If you send military troops against the people of the United States, you are abusing your power, you are disrespecting and misusing the military and our service members, and you are wasting our tax dollars. Portland has a proud history of standing up to injustice. In Portland, we believe that dissent is patriotic. We ask President Trump to respect the Constitution and the right of Portlanders and the right of people all across our country, the right to exercise free speech and protest. We ask President Trump to reverse his order to deploy the military to Portland and all areas across the United States. People across Oregon, as well as our elected leaders at all levels, have been standing up together in solidarity. And we have stand in solidarity with people and elected leaders across the United States to say, troops do not belong on the streets of our towns and cities. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite Maria Osea from Memphis, Tennessee.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, community. Trump, we from Memphis. What you know about we? We say free the 901 and the rest of Tennessee. You got us messed up, Donald Trump. You are abusing your presidential power to criminalize Black and brown people in our city. Memphis, Tennessee is a powerful city with powerful history of civil rights and social justice. And we will not allow federal agents and national troops who swore an oath to protect the United States Constitution to come into our streets and terrorize our community. Last night, we saw the first few operations of Make Memphis Safe Again, where state troopers, Tennessee state troopers, as well as undercover federal agents from HSI, DEA, FBI, and the Tennessee Wildlife Agency were conducting traffic stops across the city of Memphis. If you are going after violent criminals, quote unquote, as you say, why are you conducting traffic stops? Why are you pulling people over for expired tags? Why are you pulling people over for broken taillights? That is not going to help reduce the crime in our city. What is going to help is utilizing that $100 million investment to police our communities, and instead, we need that money in our schools. We need that money for public housing. We need that money to support workers on the ground. We need that money for public transportation. However, this Republican Party has completely violated the United States Constitution and is violating all of our rights currently and aiding the demise of our American democracy. And so we stand today against that. We stand in solidarity with Chicago. We stand in solidarity with Portland. We stand in solidarity with Los Angeles. We stand in solidarity with Washington, D.C. against this perpetuation of white supremacy and this enactment of militarized police force against our communities. This is not only unjust, but it is a complete implementation of white supremacist politics. And for the federal administration to be saying that we are going to FAFO, you are going to FAFO, because the American public is not going to stand for this. We are going to continue to organize. We are going to continue to inform people of our rights, because we do continue to have rights, and we will continue to stay vigilant in solidarity with our communities. This is a complete abuse of power and an abuse of this militarized force. I encourage all of you federal agents and National Guardsmen and women who swore an oath to the United States Constitution to uphold your oath. The purpose of you swearing an oath to the Constitution is to prevent a tyrannical government from abusing our rights as American people. So it is your duty to uphold your oath to that Constitution, because currently this administration is enabling billionaires and enabling people who are the actual criminals in DC. Donald Trump has been accused of rape, of many other very extremely violent crimes. He refuses to release the Epstein files. He is using this as a tactic to divert attention from the real criminals in DC who are currently in these positions of power, who have usurped the American government. And instead, they're diverting that attention from the real criminals in DC and criminalizing American people. Continue to follow in the legacy of our civil rights movement leaders, of our civil rights movement teachers, and we will continue to challenge this abuse of power and this implementation of white supremacy against our communities. To be utilizing federal agents that are now all deputized to work as ICE agents to racially profile Hispanic people, people who are from Latin American descent or any other immigrant, to racially profile Black people in the city of Memphis is completely unethical and unjust. And as Dr. King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere. So if this is happening in Memphis, if this is happening in DC, if this is happening in Los Angeles, in Portland, in Chicago, you best believe it's going to come to you. So we need to stand together across the country against this white supremacist attack on our democracy. It is time for us to stand together now and to continue to build power and challenge this abuse of power from the federal government. This is not how our federal dollars should be utilized. This is not why we pay taxes. This is not what we need for our communities. We need poverty eradication, not police militarization. Thank you so much. I'll pass it to Rachel Spriggs, my sister on the ground in Memphis, Tennessee.
Listen, she said what I had to say. And with that, I lead with this. It is a chant that we say after every People's Assembly meeting, and that is, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Rest in peace, rest in love, Assata Shakur. We stand here, as Maria said, in Memphis with Freedom 901, not alone, but shoulder to shoulder with communities across this nation who are facing the same threat. From Los Angeles, like you've heard, to Washington, D.C., from city to city, the message is clear. We will not take this. Enough is enough. What we are witnessing is not about keeping people safe. It is about consolidating power. It is not about protecting neighborhoods. It is about punishing them. When National Guard troops are deployed against civilians, when our freedoms are curtailed, when communities are treated like criminals, that is not democracy. That is domination. That is authoritarianism. And here in Memphis, we already know that the Department of Justice investigation makes this painfully clear. The report found a pattern of unconstitutional policing, excessive force, and racial discrimination. Black residents were disproportionately targeted for stops, searches, and arrests. Children, people with disabilities, and those struggling with behavioral health challenges face disproportionate harm. Training and supervision prioritize force over de-escalation. In short, we already know that this system is broken. And we cannot forget the ICE attacks that terrorized families in our city. A raid that spread fear, split families, and shattered trust. That was not about law and order. That was about intimidation and invasion. Militarization in Memphis is not safety. Militarization anywhere is not about safety. It's about suppression. And it echoes the same authoritarian tactics we see being escalated in cities across this country. Let's be clear. If it can happen in Memphis, we already know, and we've said it over and over again, it can happen anywhere. The pattern of escalation must end. We know what truly keeps us safe. It's not militarized streets, it's strong schools. It's not raids and rifles, it's resources and respect. It's not troops and tear gas, it's trust and true justice. Safety is found when those sworn to protect us serve with fairness, dignity, and accountability. And we heard this morning there is no desire to lead with accountability. They're creating a narrative that it is okay to do what is being done. They are framing us as enemies from within. Handle it before it gets handle it. They're promoting that we should be handled before it gets out of control. Cities like Memphis, cities like DC, cities like Portland, cities like LA should be handled before it gets out of hand. That is why leaders, organizers, and everyday people are rising together with one voice. In the occupation, stop the militarization, and bring our guards home. Stop wasting taxpayer money on fear and force and start investing in freedom, families, and our future. Memphis has a long history of standing on the side of justice. And today we honor the history by joining with cities across the country to say we will not be silenced, we will not be scared, and we will not surrender our freedom. We are united, we are unshaken, and together we will win the future of our communities. We will win the future that our communities deserve. I pass it over to Lydia from LA.
Hello, my name is Lydia Avila, and I'm here with We Are California. Since June 6th, mass armed federal agents in military gear and armored vehicles have stormed job sites, courthouses, and neighborhoods, tearing apart families, racially profiling and abducting immigrants and even citizens without cause or due process. Then detaining them in ICE prisons with deplorable and inhumane conditions without access to their attorneys or their family. California, and Los Angeles specifically, was the testing ground for a wider crackdown designed to distract, divide, and intimidate. And now we see it 5 cities. And rest assured that tomorrow it could become 6, then 7, then 8, with no end. Trump keeps escalating his attacks on each of our freedoms, and now is the time to do everything we can to peacefully push back and look out for one another. Donald Trump is using fear and lies to try to take over our cities, and it's blatantly wrong. No one should be turning our own government against its own people. It endangers our families, our freedoms, and our futures. The tax dollars being wasted on militarizing our cities from LA to Oregon to Washington, D.C., are better spent ensuring we all have affordable, quality health care, good schools, and the safe communities we all deserve. We should all have the freedom to provide for our families, put food on our table, and live in a home we can afford, be fairly compensated for our labor. People should not be living in fear of those who have sworn to serve and protect us equally. This is not public safety. It's not immigration enforcement. It's an attack on everyday people. We will not be bullied by Trump. From LA to DC, we're coming together to say enough. End the dangerous and wasteful militarization of our cities. Bring our guard members home and stop wasting taxpayer money. Let's keep our communities safe. And now I'll hand it to Kaya.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Thank you so much to all of our powerful speakers today, Stacy, Sandy, Rachel, Maria, Lydia. I'd like to open it to reporter questions now. If there are any questions from reporters, you can use the raise your hand function, or you can come off mute and ask a question.
I am Libby Dowsett from KGW. I was just wondering, we are neighbors across the street from our ICE building in the South Waterfront area, are constantly hearing sounds, woken up in the night, smelling the gases in the area, although they support generally protests in the area. How has troop deployment unrolled in different areas? They're curious. They want to hear how it's happening in other cities. Does it start slowly near ICE buildings, or was it all of a sudden, or has it started?
So it sounds like this is a question for everyone. So I can answer here in Washington, D.C. Troops have been walking down neighborhood streets, waterfront parks. The federal surge forces have been at soccer games, football games, in front of schools. Children have seen people kidnapped from in front of schools. The National Guard troops specifically have been, have extremely powerful weapons. They're long rifles, and they are deployed really in front of grocery stores, walking up and down the street. Inside Washington, D.C., we do not have any ICE detention facilities specifically. So the troops are walking around our neighborhoods, intimidating people. I would love to maybe just pass it to, is there anyone who wants to go next to describe the deployment?
I can share. This is Lydia from Los Angeles. For us, it was a siege. They invaded our community. They came in guns blazing and walked in our communities, in front of our grocery stores, elementary schools, near daycare centers, near churches, locations usually respected, and they came with full force to intimidate and cause fear and harm our people.
Hey, this is Stacy in Chicago. For us, it feels like school has become a space of where we have experienced them detaining families. Parks just this past weekend, downtown Chicago, also. And just last night, a full out operation on the south side, and on the south side of the city, which is a predominantly Black space in our segregated city. So this idea that they are only targeting particular communities, we are seeing it in a multitude of ways. And it is scary when young people are being dissuaded from the schoolhouse door because of that particular activity. Our members are reporting discussions with their students because they need to know how to be able to identify themselves if, encountering this occupying force. So it's unnecessary and intimidating.
Yes, and I can also answer for Memphis, Tennessee. So we have not seen the National Guard on the ground yet. However, as I mentioned, last night we saw the first operations of Memphis, Make Memphis Safe Again. And again, we are witnessing the militarization, the use of state troopers, Tennessee state troopers, the DEA, the FBI, HSI, and the Tennessee Wildlife Agency, which to me is wild because why is the Tennessee Wildlife Agency working with these other agencies to conduct traffic stops? So we saw a huge increase in traffic stops last night. Apparently, originally, what we thought was that the U.S. Marshals were going to be conducting arrest of outstanding warrants. However, in addition to doing that, they also saturated the main streets across the city to conduct traffic stops all over the city through from starting at 7 p.m. last night through 10 a.m. this morning.
I wanted to add, although we don't have the military deployed in Portland yet, there have been Black Hawk helicopters that the federal government has been using, and they have been very disruptive to people in the city as well. And so you can just imagine the troops aren't even here, and there's been a lot of disruption around the ICE office by federal activity. So, we and people across Portland have deep concerns about even more egregious impacts by federal deployment.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from media? And again, you can use the raise hand function or come off mute.
If there's no one else, it's me again, but any next steps from this meeting?
Yeah, so that's a great segue to wrapping us up. And so thank you for joining us all today as we talk about our solidarity with people across this country. There's a lot of work to be done, right? We need people from all walks of life to be using our power, and we need those in society to wake up to the alarm bells. We may be the canaries in the coal mine right now, but this is coming to everyone if as a country we don't come together right now and use the levers of power that we have. And that means we need people to use every lever of power to protect the communities that we've heard from today. Every community you have heard from today is experiencing what you've heard is a common threat of these gangs of federal agents that are attacking and abducting people. And we heard this morning this characterization of us, the population of this country, as being the problem. We know that we are actually the solutions. We are the people in our community that are building together. And so this is just one little day and press conference, but we are building together. We are together. What they want is for us to be divided and to be scared and to be by ourselves and isolated. And instead, what you're seeing is that we are coming together. We will be united, and you will continue to hear from us, and we together will be able to turn this around. So I want to thank everybody so much for being here today, so much for being in community together today, and more importantly for us that we will stay in community together. This is an overreach that the American public is not okay with. And that is why I feel confident that this moment, this wild overreach that we have seen of talking about the people of this country as though we are enemies, when we are actually the country, we are our communities. This overreach will be the beginning of the end of this regime because we are organizing in every community you heard from today and in so many other communities across this country. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you especially to our sisters in the movement from Chicago, from Portland, from Memphis, and from Los Angeles.